There's no end in sight yet regarding the ongoing strike by the university lecturers, with the onus tilting towards the federal government for quick resolution. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Ayuba Waba, has urged the federal government to respect the collective bargaining agreement entered into with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and other unions in tertiary institutions in the country. Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Igige, has asked the striking university lecturers to consider the plight of students and parents and return to work. We have ASUU, we have NASU, that's the academic staff, non-academic staff. We have senior staff, SSANU, Association of Nigerian University, and these people, they are pressing for this demand, and the Nigerian Labour Congress is telling the Minister of Federal Government that, look, that use the principle of collective bargaining and accede to these demands.
Is when they make this kind of demands, they are not referring to ASUU alone. We have a history, as our government has a history of refusing to implement agreements that it duly entered with labor. We were here when health workers were on strike. Even at the risk of coronavirus getting worse in our country, what were they fighting for? They said the hazard allowance was too low, or something instituted in the early 80s, that it should be increased. Promise was made to increase it. Promise was made to implement other demands in the memorandum of action that was signed. But what did we see? They waited for 6 months, because when the health workers went on strike and they called off, they suspended the strike. There's a difference between suspending a strike and calling it off. When you suspend, you don't need to give notice to your employer before resuming the strike. You know, so when they suspended the strike, they did that believing that that the government may not even honor its word. They had to come back. They resumed the strike. It was after they resumed that strike that a decision was then reached that, okay, this hazard allowance, we are increasing it. And they then took steps to meet some of the demands. Look at what ASUU has been talking about. ASUU said this time around, out of the numerous demands that we made, just implement 2. And ASUU did that in the interest of the students. Just 2. The renegotiation of the 2009 agreement, as well as acceptance of UTAS as alternative to IPPIS. Because the IPPIS is seen as inflexible for the university environment.
Yes. The UTAS thing is designed to cater for their operations.
They asked ASUU to come up with alternative. ASUU members designed the software. It cost them in the region of 30 million to design that software. It was past fit. After that, we refused to implement. We want to continue to use the IPPIS. And they are saying, no, we don't want this. Now, if they are saying they come down to just 2 demands, I think courtesy demands that those 2 demands should be looked at. Let conversation be around how to implement just 2 of those demands going forward. But you can't just keep telling them, go back to work, go back to work. My own concern is private universities, they are not going on strike. Any student who is in private university, he knows that, okay, at least that usual disruption will not happen at their end. But students, when they are filling JAMB form, they usually see private universities there But knowing that an overwhelming majority of them, their parents can't afford those schools, they still opted for public universities. If we want to destroy public universities so that only private universities can exist in our country, we need to know. We need to know, because by keeping them, then how many students,
how many parents,
parents will be able to afford
those private
universities? There are some of those private universities where they take between 1.5 million to 2 million a semester. How many parents can afford it? Even JAMB form, some parents can't afford.
As cheap as JAMB form.
As cheap as it is. That's why I'm not in support of even making JAMB a profit or revenue generating agency, when a good number of our people cannot afford to buy JAMB form. Schools, I mean, state government are even supporting. I mean, individuals are supporting. Some states, as we speak, are owing WAEC exam fees that they paid on behalf of schools. Some of them are owing. They are owing. So it's difficult for a lot of parents to even cope with educating their children, paying school fees and all that. Who feels it knows it. We may think that because we are here, we can afford it. But how about those downtrodden parents? They can't afford it. That's why the public university must survive.
Well, the Minister of Labour and Employment, that's Dr. Chris Ngige, is saying that the striking university lecturers to consider the plight of students and parents and return to work. That at this time is not something that is enviable to belong to any public university, whether state or federal government, because their counterparts in the private university, they're going on with their academic calendar.
The minister is right to say that ASUU members should consider the plight of students. You should also understand that it is their consideration for the plight of students that they are on strike. Because if you look at their demands, they are talking of funding of public schools. So this strike is not for them. They are making this sacrifice. I'm sure they are not happy, with the distortion of academic calendar. They are making the sacrifice in the interest of the future of our children. The fact of the matter is that most of the students in these public universities are from poor homes. If policymakers also have their children in these public schools, they will take it more serious. So the minister should also consider the plight of the students and hearkening to the demands of ASUU. There is no point signing MOU and then each time you renege. You see, part of the demands of ASUU was that, look, proliferation of private universities. February last year, federal government approved 20 private universities. April,
state universities.
This year again, they approved private universities. State universities, the same proliferation is going on. So you keep on saying, okay, we want peace, yet those conditions that are supposed to give room for peace, you are not, giving those. You are not obeying those conditions. So I think the federal government should not take hardline position, because this destruction will create a kind of generation gap between the children of the poor and children of the rich. Okay, we need to look for a compromise.
So I have my first caller. Tunde is calling us from Osun State. Thank you for joining us today. Hello, Tunde. Hello. Okay, I think Tunde is not here.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you for the contribution. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Tunde.
And the other person there.
Thank you.
Please, I want to reliably inform you that somebody working in net is. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, as somebody in net healthcare system in this country, I want to tell you that even up to now, government has not implemented anything calling other ones in net sector up to now. Babajide. And again, that PPI stuff of a thing, as somebody is working in the university, is a fraud. You can imagine at the point, even the IPPS were were giving lecturers monies that were not even paid to them. As I was talking to you at the point, I was given a bill of 100 million that was paid into my account, which I never saw. Despite tendering all the evidence that I did collect such money, they still remove it and deducted it. So the IPPIS as it is a big fraud. Thank you.
Thank you today. Thank you for your contribution.
You know, my own issue is why get into agreements that you know you will not implement? Because nobody put a gun to your neck. So if looking at your finances, you know that we cannot pay this thing, no, that has to be part of the conversation from the beginning. Not that you now sign a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of action and then begin to stall, begin to delay and try to give labor a bad name amongst Nigerians, because that is the strategy that maybe after a while Nigerians will pile pressure, this and that, they will look bad before Nigerians and they will go back to work. You signed this thing before they called off. You agreed. You did the same thing to the health workers. You agreed. You got into an agreement. And that was what the Senate President said, why did you sign in the first place if you knew you would not pay? You cannot sign the agreement and then come back and be citing poor finances and this. You knew that from the word go, that look, there are implications if we agree to these demands. So why did you agree?
Okay, I have Dozie. Dozie is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Dozie.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, please. Can you please turn down the volume of
Keep
that
talking.
your TV set?
Don't listen to your TV set. Just keep talking.
I'll just turn down the volume. I'll switch it off.
Hello?
Yes.
We are listening to you.
Yeah.
You're live.
Yeah, my name is Dozie. I'm calling from Abuja here.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. The ASUU strike. You see, we I believe what Ngige is now doing is probably because he wants to go into politics. He's now going through the idea of trying to... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ngige is now trying to play to the gallery by saying, go back to school. What has happened all these days, all these years? Please, this country should be serious. That our students are not in school and nobody is worried. Oh God, I weep for this country. I weep for this country. Children are not in school, and because we are not affected, we are left. We are just not children. We are just not worried. Please, Babajide, I don't know what you will say. I don't know what you want to say to this government. I don't know what you want to... Where is it that we can... What can we even touch in this country that is working? I am sorry. Please. Babajide, I wish you luck. Please.
Thank you, Dozie. Continue to be optimistic.
What can we do?
It is well.
What can we do? We will just continue to do our work. We are not politicians, and the job of the journalist is to point out those things that government needs to do to make life more meaningful to our people. And that is the commitment we have, and we cannot change, because we saw politics as a vocation before we opted for journalism.
Yep.
As long as we are here, you can call us names, call us all kinds of funny names that some of them have designed. That is their problem.
I went on Twitter.
We just need to do our
and
work.
I was like, wow.
No, it is because you have time.
I was like, wow.
The big journalists that I know, even in our country here, they are not really active on social media. And it is for a reason. Sometimes when you listen,
you get distracted.
you get distracted. Some of us are active, we answer them a little bit, you know, but sometimes you even regret it. That why am I even?
A lot of ignorance.
These guys,
Ignorance, you know.
they are not ready for any healthy arguments. They are
that
not.
you can meet on the street
Even
and they will look up to you.
their quality of perception is just not there. So sometimes you even look stupid engaging some people in an argument. You ask yourself, why you? Because it's just. But sometimes I ask yourself, is it the level of frustration in our country that is making young people abusing their parents' age mates? It's only the social media is a leveler. Everyone, people who are not fit to lace your boots, they now come on social media. It's an opportunity to abuse
people. Yes, people tag us.
It's true.
Yes, people tag us element of destruction. That we are out to destroy a particular country.
Very ridiculous people.
Element of destruction. What we are doing here, I said, man, kudos to those guys on Twitter.
Well done. We know we are to now time. How many times do you see me there?
Oh, man,
I don't even go there at all. Don't bother myself.
You'll be distracted. Sometimes you ask yourself, that, is it that what I'm doing is so bad?
Okay. Kenneth is calling us from Makurdi.
Yep, hello.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Babajide.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. It's quite sad and quite unfortunate for a country like Nigeria, where a lot of these people who are putting our children out of school right now, most of them went to school for free.
Yes.
And have the privileges of going through our hard-earned money within the country. And a lot of them, from history, how we had, how the university system operates 20, 30 years before now. And today, you hardly see a minister or a commissioner's child schooling within the country. And even though they're schooling within the country, they go to private universities, not all those public universities.
Yes.
I want to challenge the federal government in this instance. If really they are so serious about this country, because they talk about every country who wants to grow. If you're not educated, you can't do anything good. You guys sitting in the studios there, you are well educated, and you are feeding us with things.
Thank you, Kenneth. Let me try and play the devil's advocate here. The Minister of Labour and Employment, that is Chris Ngige, I know his 2 children that graduated from public university, University of Lagos. I've seen it. I've seen them graduating. Yes, Chris Ngige. You can find out. And I think 2 of, they say has like 2 still in the system. So not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
An overwhelming majority of them. Even people lower than them in the civil service. People lower than them in the civil service who are on level 10. Stealing civil servants. They are sending children to schools abroad.
Sure. Because normally
Malaysia,
they should not have
Egypt here. They are sending their children to schools.
Cyprus,
So we know these things.
Togo,
civil servants,
Ghana,
people
yes.
who are not as big as Chris Ngige. They are sending their children abroad. We can do, from the law of averages, it is clear that Ngige is probably just one of the extremely few people of his class who have chosen to let their children go to school.
University of Lagos, medicine.
So that is the thing, and he should now use even that platform to do his best. I know that he wants the best. I've said it, I don't even think that his hands are tied. Ngige can say, today I want this thing to end. Does he have the finances to pay? His ministry does not control it. If they had a budget that could take care of the demands of I'm sure that Chris Ngige will willingly do that. He does not award contract. It's not So this is the thing. This is the thing.